Welcome to the Hub Podcast. I'm your host, Cheney Passer. With me is... What?
Just how you did that was so like you were a news guy. Welcome to the podcast. This is
I think I've done it enough times now where I'm just like, it flows out.
Sure.
Rather than like, what was it I'm saying again?
Yeah. But with
Yeah.
who?
With you.
With me.
I was
No
gonna say
nickname Courtney.
I was gonna say Cozy Courtney this time because you got
Yeah,
the
I'm back with
blanket,
the
the
Cozy Courtney.
slippers, the tea, the hot tea. You know, I know this maybe doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of interesting how you haven't somehow concocted your tea to be iced as well yet. You still enjoy iced or cold, warm tea, but it's iced coffee till you die.
I think I don't know, the tea thing, it's like the mood. I don't relate the mood with hot coffee or most hot drinks, but tea is like when you're cozy and you want to be like at the end of the night, or you want something warm to drink. That most of the time I don't think it tastes better iced too either, but like the hot tea, it's all about the mood and the ambiance of what you're doing. Like I'm cozy right now, so now I want a hot tea. But never done it with, take that back. I don't typically do it with milk. It's a game changer.
Oh, really?
It's a game changer. You want to try it? I use the lavender blueberry almond milk from Trader Joe's. It is very good, but it adds like a thickness to it that I like.
Oh, sure.
Doesn't just taste like flavored hot water.
That more like snotty
No.
texture that...
Almond milk does kind of have that texture. I know what you're talking about, but no, because then it balances out with the water that's in it. Like I still made it with water.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
why
put
I don't...
milk in it.
That's why I don't like 2% or reduced fat milk either. Also because I think it's... I mean, to talk about the health part of it is it's like...
What's the point?
You're somewhat taking out any of the nutrients that's actually good for you in it. But it's just the consistency. Like it's so funny, like when you're picking on your uncle. Oh, your water milk?
Yeah.
Want your water milk?
Yeah, no, it's like that, or like the fat-free yogurt or whatever. Like, what's the point? What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something to touch on health-wise or whatever just quickly is like when you're shopping for dairy products, obviously everybody's got their own personal restrictions and stuff like that, but part of what's good about dairy is the fat, and it's the healthy fat from it. And that's why it's important to have a balanced diet, because you can then have the whole milk. You can then have the whole milk yogurt or whatever, none of the non-fat or reduced fat or whatever. When you see that non-fat or reduced fat, they're taking all of the stuff out of it that actually is what nutrients are in it for you. And it's just one of those things that's like it becomes so popular that now you can hardly even find whole milk yogurt or like the stuff that's just not reduced. Like I want the full thing.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find now. There's like maybe a brand that actually has, that whole milk yogurt where it's like, okay, I'm getting all of the nutrients from this. Plus, when you think about it with the yogurt, them doing non-fat or even the milk, non-fat, reduced fat, that's just another level of that product being processed that you're getting further and further into that just more processed food, more processed.
Yes. Yeah, that's something that I could probably get back on the train with, is just more of the fermented stuff and just like the microbiome health and like yogurts and kombucha. And I haven't been having my bloating problem in a while. I figured out that it's from eating certain raw vegetables, but it's mostly just eating and drinking too fast. I was getting bloated and just getting this like stomach pain, and it was months and months of trying to like basically like what's that called? Like when you take things out. I'm totally blanking right now.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like I can't think of it. Subtraction dieting type of thing. Like
Elimination diet.
Yeah.
Ugh. to where I was like, I was taking out olive oil for a couple weeks, and then I was taking out just things that I was eating frequently, like taking out eggs, and then I took out olive oil and figuring out like, well, what the heck? Like there must be something in one of these foods that I'm eating that is causing this inflammation. And figure it out. No, I just got to slow the heck down. I just got to stop inhaling my food and my drinks because it was literally just like I was creating bubbles. Like I was just inhaling too much air when I was eating and drinking.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it can just be as simple as that. You realize you don't even have to like take any food out or do anything. It's like, no, you're just eating too fast, and it's, you know, it's like, yeah, you're just inhaling so much that air is going in, or you're going so fast that like literally your digestive system can't like process or keep up, that you start to have these weird effects and these weird things. And
which that's a good, like you've been talking about being more mindful lately. I think that's a huge thing that people kind of skip over when it comes to eating and food, is just not recognizing what foods are causing what issues, or maybe what foods produce more energy for you, or just like kind of just being more aware when you're eating. Like simple of something like that. I was not obviously paying attention or being more in tune with when I was eating, that I would have recognized, oh, I'm eating really, really fast, and I'm taking in a lot at once, and I'm drinking a full bottle of water while I'm eating at the same time, that I wouldn't have needed to go through this whole eliminating things if I would have just kind of been a little bit more aware. But if, you know, you kind of are having certain issues, or you're noticing like skin breakout, or if you're just not having the same amount of energy, or, you know, just like hair falling out more, that is a great way to figure out maybe what in your diet could be causing the inflammation. Or if you're noticing you're getting way more sore after your, you know, your lifting sessions, and your joints are kind of a little more irritated, trying the elimination thing of finding something that you eat every day or most days, or, you know, more frequently, and taking those out for a couple of weeks, seeing how it affects your system, because normally it is a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, something for me that comes around every now and then is like this very small, subtle, I guess you could say, allergic reaction to eggs. When I eat eggs, it's weird. It's just every now and then I'll have this stretch of like a month or 2 months. I'll eat eggs, and then all of a sudden, like the back of my throat starts to swell up. Like I get this like, yeah, just like a swollen throat, or maybe it's tongue or something like that, to where it's just like it feels like my throat's kind of closed up a little bit. And I've been able to like pinpoint it to eggs because of doing the same thing. Like I notice this when I eat this, and then I'm like, well, what did I just have on my plate? And it's like, it's instant. I mean, it's within like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, all of a sudden my throat, or even if I'm, you know, maybe still eating because I'm eating and then going away and doing something and coming back or whatever. But I've noticed that for me with eggs, like I've been able to pinpoint that, as sometimes I have this weird reaction where my throat kind of swells up. And just like kind of like what you're talking about is just being mindful while you're eating or even doing anything, but to kind of notice diet-wise, like, oh, my body's just not really reacting or responding to eggs that well right now. I can go away from it for a little while and not have this, you know, swollen throat, or kind of like what you said, if you're breaking out, if you're starting to get acne, trying to pinpoint maybe what it is, and then you can kind of cut that out for a little while, because your body's always adapting and changing. That's why this thing for me with eggs comes around and goes away, is because your chemical makeup is changing and evolving and adapting, and it's just constantly shifting and moving. But sometimes it's genetic makeup, or its chemical makeup is kind of at this point where you're not responding to this thing that well. So maybe just take it out for a little bit, and then you can come back to it later.
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing to do just in general, to learn your body and what foods work for you and what they don't work for you. Maybe they all work great, but figuring out that individual profile for yourself, because yes, there are certain things that I think we can go to that are more common. Like certain people do not do well with dairy. Some do not do well with raw vegetables. Some do not do, you know, the list goes on. But I think sometimes we're quick to just go to those things of like, oh, I must be lactose intolerant. or I must not be good with vegetables, or vegetables are supposed to be really good for me, so I should keep eating this salad because that's not what's causing this problem, which was me of like, oh, I'm eating vegetables every single day,
They're good for me.
thinking that's what's cleansing me, that's what's getting everything
Mm-hmm.
out. When in reality, I have an issue with eating raw vegetables. I do have to cook mine down a little bit, and it's, taking the enzymes out more, which stinks, and I can hopefully build myself back up to be able to handle that. But at the state that I'm in right now, it doesn't work well with them, and it starts to, just inflammation starts to come up. But I think a lot of people get stuck in well, vegetables are healthy. And both of us, we notice like we kind of get bogged down. We don't see the boost in energy. I get more of the inflammation, to where something like carbs, we'd both do really well with carbs. You do even better than I do with carbs. That another one that's deemed as like, you're going to get tired after, or not that you would get energy, but like there are so many more negatives than
It's
benefits, to where if you just pay attention, you can go. That was an unneeded end of that sentence.
yeah, no, like it's just the stigma, it's something that happens all the time. Is, how long ago, 10, 15 years ago, it was fat. Get rid of fat. Fat can't be in your diet. It's horrible for you. It's bad for you. And then they kind of pinpoint it down more to like, well, it's saturated fat. Really pay attention to your saturated fat. The other stuff is fine. And now we've just kind of switched and gone to carbs and figured out carbs are bad. And nothing is really that bad. I would say the stuff that's bad is the stuff that's really processed. The more processed it is, the worse it probably is for you. And kind of like what you said, we do really well with carbs. That's not really and I wouldn't even say that that's not with the norm. I think that's just not with the stigma or the idea of today is like, oh, there's no way I'm horrible with carbs. And it's like, well, have you actually really tested it? Or have you just heard stay away from carbs and then you do that and you're kind of claiming you are?
Sure.
So it's like, you really have to be mindful. You have to kind of do the work to see like, how do these things affect me? Because vegetables are great for you. But then again, it's like, well, raw vegetables don't sit well with you. Or maybe it's these certain ones that don't do well for you. It's way more complex than just the like, oh, just get rid of carbs or just get rid of fats or this has too much sugar, just stay away from it. It's so much more complex than that.
Sure. Yeah. Food is interesting, and it's crazy how your body can also adapt depending on just your hormone and chemical profile that's going on. Like, you could be lactose intolerant and then eventually work out of that. It's not like that is your forever state, because your body, I don't remember what the study is, but I think it's like every year and so many months, I wish I knew what it was. Maybe it's even sooner than that. Like your whole chemical makeup changes, cells and everything.
It's like 100% different.
Different.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Like
that's why like when you get older, it's not just, oh, well, I matured and I tried more things, of when like something you hated the taste of when you were younger, you now like. It's
Right.
because your taste buds have actually changed and regrown, and your cells are different, that certain things are going to taste different to your body. They're going to respond differently to your body. I was listening to a doctor that is more of like a female specialist on hormones and just like menstrual cycle stuff. And she said, like, don't think that one thing that's going to affect your body 3 months ago, that's why I think it was a shorter period of time, because I was surprised at how quickly the turnaround happened. But like, something that you could have had as a 16-year-old, your issues are going to be completely different now because you're a different person. Your cells have completely changed.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Well, it's just,
that like you need to keep being aware so that you can adapt with your new self in a way.
Yeah. And that's why I think just the being mindful as much as you can is going to be, it's going to be the way that you can kind of stay on top of it, because it's ever changing. So it's not like you're just going to get this, like, you're not going to get this, one size fits all, or this one idea and cure it all. Like, like, I'm keto and it changed my life. Well, it changed your life for the right now and near future, but maybe in 5 years, you're going to respond really well to carbohydrates and they're going to be, amazing for you or whatever. Or maybe you start to, the things that you are eating in this diet start to react, your body starts to react kind of poorly to it, that you need to change things up. It's a never ending process. Like this whole health and fitness thing, it's never ending. The whole working out, diet, mental health, all of that stuff, it's a never ending process that, just do your best to be mindful and stay on top of it, because then you can be optimized, or you can be, what's the word? You can be like your most optimal all the time if you're being aware and you're making sure that your diet is responding well to your body. And that's kind of the tricky part, is like it almost goes unnoticed when you're doing well. If you're mindful and you're not really noticing anything wrong, that's probably the sign that like you're eating the right things, you're drinking the right amount of water or whatever. It's when things go wrong that you start to notice, like, oh, my bowel movements are weird, or I'm breaking out more, or my energy really dips at certain points, or I don't wake up with a lot of energy or whatever. Like, yeah, it's just constantly adjusting and evolving, and you need to too.
Yeah. Sorry, when I must be dead or something. When I took a sip, it was hotter than when it was the first sip. So I was just like, oh my gosh, it's working. I have one of the Ember mugs, so it gets hotter while it's in the cup. Yeah.
Something that I feel like relates to what I just said is in football.
Sorry,
they
I'm
tell
like
you,
totally.
No, you're fine.
So back to my tea.
I
update.
just
It's hot.
By the way, my tea's still warm.
Breaking news: it's hotter. Sorry.
No, and this is just like something that a advice or a saying that I loved hearing when I was playing football was, as the cornerback, the person that covers the wide receiver, they have to make sure that the wide receiver doesn't catch the ball, and they have to do such a good job that the quarterback doesn't even throw the ball your way. And that was the advice, or that was kind of the more so like a pick-me-up of like, if the ball's not being thrown your way, you're doing your job. To where it's like, it's a hard concept because you're always taught like you want to be in the plays and you want to be the one catching the ball or be around the ball and you want to be in the action. But really with this job, the best case scenario is that you don't see any action. The ball is never thrown your way. It's never coming over by you. That, to me, that somewhat relates to the diet thing of like, if you're not noticing anything really weird or wild, you're not noticing any action, like it's actually probably a good thing. You're probably doing what the things you're supposed to. And that's what's hard about this process is like, you're not really getting any feedback ever. It's like, well, I've been doing this diet for a while. I've been doing this thing. I hope it's working well. Like I drink the kombucha or I do the apple cider vinegar. I hope my digestive system is working. It's like, I don't know. I can't look inside my body. It's like everything seems normal, but I can't tell.
Which, speaking of another way of like, you're so individual, is some people that takes a long time for it to regulate, or, like I think of my dad who is trying to reverse his diabetes right now. That took him 6 to 8 months to get kind of somewhat to more of a regulated normal person level. And even then he's still working on it.
He's so not normal.
Not normal. But
that was a bad joke.
But then like, say for me, like I could take out vegetables and the next day I feel fine, or even within that day I feel fine. Yeah. So it also depends on the severity of what you're trying to heal and what you're trying to fix and work on. So be aware of that for yourself, and that way of, just because it's quickly for this person or it's slow for this person doesn't mean it's going to be that way for you. And that goes for diet. That goes for working out.
Yep.
Like your body is an individual machine, an individual brain, which has sends different signals and receives different signals and has different chemical makeup and hormone. That it's so that like dorky saying, but like your experience is nowhere near, like it's not the same as everybody else's, kind of like you're not going to have the same process as the person next to you. And the more that you can just get ingrained with what your process is, the more fun it's going to be, because you're going to be able to understand what's happening to then know, okay, when I eat this, I know I'm going to get a stomach ache. Is that worth it? And maybe it is. Or you go, oh, I know what the stomach ache is for. It must have had blah, 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I have more energy. It must have been the beets because that worked really well or something. But I think we get so frustrated when things don't happen right now, whether that's with a diet, whether it's with your workout program. That's another just general message, is stick with it a little bit longer, because it could be just you're not in it long enough. As much as your body is an adaptive machine, it sometimes takes a bit to do that adapting.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's so difficult because like it relates so much to just overall life. Is it's like you are such a individual and have so many specific variants to you, but you also relate to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like there's a lot of people that, you know, naturally sit at a skinnier, smaller state and need to work really hard to get to put any muscle on their body type of thing. But I'm also super individual of like how I get there is going to be completely different than the next person that is also in that same position and trying to get to the same thing. And it's just like, it's everything. We all relate so much, but then at the same time, we're all so different because like you said, I mean, it breaks down all the way to like your chemicals and your hormones are different. And what you have of this and of that is different than what somebody has of this and that and the amount. And it's so specific to you. And it's also like what you grew up eating, you know, what region of food, like what region you're in and eating. The people that are in California eating certain things versus in North Carolina eating certain things. Like the apple over here is not the same as the apple over here. So it's like what, and then the person over here is not the same person over here. So it's like you're eating the same thing. You're both a human being. Maybe you're even both male or female, and like even that, it's gonna affect you differently, and it's gonna do everything different to you. And it's like the water that you get in North Carolina versus California. Everything is so
the soil that those things are planted in, and then the water
Yep.
that they use, and the chemicals, like the runoff from your different climate and
Yep.
the temperature, like all those things affect your food and affect the chemical makeup even
Yeah.
of the food.
So it's difficult when you have these blanketed statements that's like, be keto, don't eat carbs. And it's like, well, okay, but when I eat just fruits and vegetables and meat and dairy, maybe some dairy, but it's like this doesn't do that well for me. Or maybe probably not all of those things would, but you know, certain vegetables don't do well for me, or certain fruits and vegetables don't. So that's limited what I can eat. And then this is limited what I eat. And also like I respond really well to carbohydrates. So why do I need to kick those out in order to be healthy? It's like you don't. You need to figure out what your individual own diet is. Don't follow the fad or whatever people say to do necessarily. Figure out for yourself. Do your own experiment for yourself, because you're the one that's got to eat it. You're the one that's got to, feel everything you feel from it. So you have to figure it out for yourself.
I wish there was different verbiage that could be used differently for a diet. Because I think when people think of diet, it's the same way that people see the word budget. You hear budget and you think like you have to hold back. You have to like limit yourself. It's like I'm on a budget. Not like, no, this is a systematic plan to manage my finances and whatever. It's like a positive thing. Same thing with diet. It's seen as like something that's just being taken away from you, something that you have to take away or change because of this negative.
Do you feel like, because when I hear diet, I also hear like almost
weight
like
loss.
Almost like short term. Like this is just
Yeah.
a little change for a little while. I wish
it's like
there
a
was
cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish there was a different word, or we didn't have the stigma about it. Because when somebody says diet, I'm always like, oh, they're doing this for like 3 months and then they're going to be done with it.
And that there has to be a label to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm eating a paleo diet, I'm eating a carnivore diet, I'm eating vegetarian or vegan or Mediterranean. That it is. It's so like, what's your menu? What's
Yeah.
your profile supposed to be? And also, what is your individual diet for your lifestyle at that point? Are you wanting to get bigger and put on muscle? Well, that might not be the same diet and the same, list of foods that you would have if you're like, I'm just trying to like be healthy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like those could be two different,
Yeah.
I mean, complete, I mean,
They
yeah,
are.
like those are
They
completely
are.
different food groups that you could be taking in or out or,
Yep.
utilizing, rather than seeing food as like this thing that I'm scared of and need to take things away, seeing it as there are so many options and availabilities to me. And really, no matter where you live, yes, there's going to be
Yeah.
certain limitations. I mean, I think we found moving to Texas, like half of our produce diet was taken away just based off of the availability that they had here. But yeah, like it surprises me how many people stick to their same food group, same meals. And it's probably just because it's easy and food isn't exciting to a lot of people. So I get it's just based off of time and effort and interest. But
I think with
there's so
everything,
much cool food out there that you can utilize that is healthy and good for you and might work really well with your system. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like with that, like with everything,
Mumbling.
you get into routines. We do that too. Of like, we'll make kind of the same breakfast or dinner or lunch, and it just kind of, you get into this routine, and it is hard to branch out because that means like you have to find a different process of what you do, or maybe you have time crunches, so you've kind of found something that works, and you don't want to even think about trying something new because it's like, I have too little of time type of thing. So you just get into routine and you start eating the same things over and over again. And I also think with eating, it's one of the things that like is most people are not mindful. A lot of time it's, you make your dinner and you go sit down in front of the TV and you eat, and while you're watching TV, and you don't even think about what you're putting in your body, or if you feel hungry, if you feel full, if this tastes good, how is it reacting in my body, any of those things, if I'm eating too fast. Um, and then you maybe even get up and you get more, and you didn't realize like at all that, oh, I'm actually full, or you ate so fast, your body hasn't even caught up or been able to tell you and send signals that you're full. So you just go up and get more anyways and sit down and
That's like what you said, like it doesn't have time to send signals. That to me is the same thing as alcohol.
yeah,
Like you got to let it settle. You got to let
Yeah.
it sit in, not just like, well, I don't feel it right after the sip.
yeah,
Like, well, it hasn't even processed yet.
Yep.
To where I do that so much, I think, with food, where I'm like, before my first bite, I'm even like, this isn't going to fill me up. And then I get to the end and I'm like, okay, yeah, I maybe could eat something. And if I were to go and eat right away, I could probably fill in more food. But then I like wait 30 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so full. I'm happy I didn't eat anymore.
yeah.
Because it takes your body time. Yeah. Body time to let it settle. I remember my dad when, before he was eating, how he was like, when he would eat or like go to a buffet or something, I always remember like him kind of saying along those lines, like, eat quick enough before your body figures it out.
Yeah.
So that you can just eat more.
It's like he's playing a trick on it. Yeah, totally.
That guy should be so large. Like for how
Yeah.
he used to eat.
Well, Corey,
He's so much more unhealthy.
Corey told me somewhat of the same thing of, when you're trying to put on weight, is like eat a little bit quicker because you then won't feel that full, and then
Yeah.
you'll want to go get more. And because if you do slow down and you eat, it'll catch up and you'll feel it, and then you really won't want to eat more. You can kind of manipulate it and play tricks on it. And I think it's the same way in the opposite end. If you're trying to lose weight, slow your eating down so that your body can like regulate what's going on and send those signals of like, hey, I'm starting to get full, or I am full, and then you'll somewhat eat less.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many little tricks and stuff with eating, but I think to make it maybe it's not simple for some people, but for my brain it's more simple of like just be mindful of what you're doing. Like try not be mindful of that you're eating. Try not to just sit down in front of the TV and blank out while you eat, or work on the computer while you're eating, or do whatever on your phone while you're eating. um I just keep going and going. More examples. Shoot basketballs while you're eating, and just be mindful and kind of do that. Like, I'm eating food right now. I'm cutting my next bite and I'm eating this,
Chewing it up,
chewing it,
tasting
really tasting it, because that's the other thing is how many times you eat something and you're like, I don't even remember what this tastes like. I do that all the time. I'm like, I don't even know was it good? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know that issue, but that's something that we have talked about at length about, of how it's like, man, people, like, they say they eat healthy, but their version of healthy is just really not healthy. And I think for us, it's maybe, I don't know why it's simpler. It could be just who we listen to, or what our career is based on. So we tend to find more foods, or places that we've lived, have more availability to different things. But like, I think really analyzing too, if you're noticing just like, wow, I can't lose weight, or I am noticing like I constantly have, breakouts. I constantly am, my hair is falling out. Like, your body will tell you if your diet isn't working.
My hair is falling out.
Well, if your body will
My
tell you by a
toenails
lot
are
of
falling off.
no, like those are like the quickest physical signals that your body will tell you if it's stressed, if it is, the food that's going into you is
Sure.
not good, is your face will break out, your hair will start to fall out, your nails will start to get thinner.
You just said it like you didn't say that.
Oh.
Your hair's falling out. It's like, what? My hair is falling out now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially I feel like girls notice that. Like your hair will not in chunks.
My hair is falling out. My ears are bleeding.
You start to get a nosebleed every day.
You need to change your diet.
But like the word eating healthy, or just being healthy, I think how we kind of break it down is just try to limit processed foods, but even that is so...
It's difficult.
It's difficult, that I think just eating whole foods, and what I mean by that is like chicken that doesn't come from like a package, or that's like you're not having like breading all over it, or it's not like this frozen that you thaw out and whatever. It's like just meat that's a regular meat. And if you're gonna have like fruits and vegetables, getting raw fruits and vegetables, or not raw fruits and vegetables, it doesn't need to be raw fruits and vegetables, but fruits and vegetables that you can see what it is, not like dried fruit and that's the only fruit you have, or you're getting like the sweet potato chips, or I don't know, like
there's so many things. I think to add to it, a good I don't want to say trick, a good method or thing to do is, if it has a label, look at the label and see what the ingredients say. And it's like, you obviously want as little amount of ingredients as possible, if not like literally just that thing. Because you could go to the grocery store and find frozen chicken breasts and look on the back of the label and it just says, chicken breasts or frozen chicken breasts, and then you're good. But when it says frozen chicken breasts and then it's got 6 other items after it that you don't know, it's like, okay, well, this bag of chicken breasts is not just that. It's something odd or something weird. Because you can do the same thing with vegetables too. You can get a package of frozen vegetables and see the label and it tells you each one that's in it, and you could be good to go. But then there's some that it's like, it's got all this flavoring on it, or the seasoning, or these they do a weird thing with preservatives, and it's the one good thing that's still like left around with our food and what we like FDA stuff of like, they have to put the ingredients on there and tell you what's in it, tell you what's on it. So use that to your advantage when you're trying to eat healthier.
Yeah, I mean, how many almond milks do we look at? before
So
we found
many.
one that was just the ingredients of like almond
Yeah.
milk. I think it was like filtered water and salt.
And
It's like they all have sweetener or cane sugar in it, and then on the front it says unsweetened.
well, yeah, and then there's just a bunch of other crap in it. That's my biggest bugaboo with the the food industry to begin with, or just maybe it's not food, it's fitness industry about food, is it's like we go through these things or we do these things of like, oh, almond milk, it's so healthy, do almond milk. And then you go to the grocery store and you check all of the almond milks and they've all got a bunch of added sugar in it or a bunch of crap in it. And it's like, this is no longer like the healthy almond milk that we're talking about. It's the same thing. I think dairy gets crapped on all the time. It's the same thing with dairy. It's like, no, obviously you shouldn't be eating a stick of butter a day, but real good butter is not that bad for you. Same with cheese, same with whole milk. But this weird label on it of like, oh, it's so bad for you. It's so bad for you. It's dairy. To where it's like, no, it's not bad for you. It's just this weird fad that's happening. And then on the opposite end, it's the almond milk example of like, this is so healthy for you. You should have gallons of it. And it ends up having like 18 added sugars in it. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and I like to think of each meal as like, what is the nutrient density of the things? Because I think like you could see it as, oh, well, I'm going to have I think this is where people trick themselves somewhat, is like, you'll go to a restaurant. It's like, well, I'm going to get a wrap. I'm going to get something that's healthier and I'm going to get a wrap. And then you think about what is each individual ingredient. It's maybe breaded chicken, but even if it's grilled chicken, it probably has iceberg lettuce, which has basically water, has this cheese that you don't really know what it is, has the tortilla, and then you have a bunch of ranch over it or something. That I think we trick ourselves with thinking what is actually healthy versus like, this is just something that sounds healthy. Like gluten-free cookies. It's still a cookie. It still has a shit ton of sugar in it and a bunch of these other, ingredients that are unnecessary. And I think
necessary for a cookie, but
right. Right. And then I think another thing too is I think a lot of people go, well, this is just like my one thing, or like I just have this is what it is. Like I have a little bit of it. Like I'll do a salad and I'll put just like a little bit of ranch. How many of those little things are you doing frequently? So it's like,
yeah.
Okay, I could be, say syrup. It's like, well, I only had syrup, every once in a while. I have it like once a week and I have pancakes. Okay, well now you have that. Well, I put sugar creamer in my, like a flavor, like a French vanilla creamer in my coffee every day. Okay, there's two things. Okay, now I do, like one night a week I have ice cream. Well, you only see it as, I only did it once a week. That's great. But now you didn't look at the 10 other things that you did once a week, that now you did something that was maybe going against a healthy, balanced eating profile every single day. You did that. And I think then we forget and go, well, I only had that one time. And then we go, why am I not losing weight? Or why am I, all the hair's gone.
Yeah, the hair's falling out. Yeah.
Because all those things do add up.
Yeah, and I think people don't get the information that they should get.
No.
I think is my kind of beef or just like frustration with it is like I said, that almond milk example. And it goes, to everything. It's like, oh, look at these healthy granola bars. Look at these organic cookies or organic this, we're all into the organic right now. And it's like organic cane sugar is still sugar. Like it's still, you can't dump gallons of it into your
even that
coffee.
It's like, well,
or you're making, I used all organic ingredients. And it's like, okay, so you made an organic chocolate chip cookie. Like we're still eating flour, butter, sugar.
Well,
like
that's what I was saying, like the cane sugar. It's like, well, it's cane sugar. It's not regular sugar.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a better alternative if you feel like you need to have it or you need to use it, but it's still sugar at the end of the day. And how many of those things are you doing? Well, it's an artificial sweetener. It's still sweetener. It's still not something that is made from the earth. And even that, like, I think we choose the like pretend healthy things.
Well, and
It's low fat.
it's just the information that people are given or the influence, and not everybody's got time to look into it.
No.
Not everybody's life is built around health and fitness. That I think
Even
that's,
ours, and it's a lot to know and pay attention to.
yeah, and that's why I think it's important that, I don't know, the mask gets taken off of all of it, because it's like people are trying to get healthy and they're listening to people or they're reading articles and whatever, and they're doing all these things, and then they continue to wonder why they're not reaching the goals that they're trying to reach. And it's because, well, the information that you're getting is actually not that great of information. It's not telling you kind of the whole story type of thing of like, well, it's organic. And it's like, oh, okay, great. And then you go look at the box of granola bars and it's like, oh, this has chocolate in it, added sugar, added this, and it's got all these crazy things in it. But it says on the front, 16 grams of protein and low carbohydrate, the healthiest granola bar you'll ever have. And it's like, that's what people are eating. And nobody, I don't know, like not a lot of people are aware of it, I guess, or saying, kind of just bringing it up of like, that's not healthy eating. Healthy eating is not finding the healthiest granola bar in the grocery store. It's finding, the foods that come from the earth, that are grown, or they are raised and then used for meat, or they're used it from eggs and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's the type of food that's good for you and you should be consuming, not the stuff that some person in a lab has tested 100 times to create the perfect granola bar to give you and go, here, best granola bar in the world. It's like, well, this is...
Yeah, and if you have to read the ingredients to figure out what's in it.
Yeah, you got to look them up.
Not like, I can look at an apple, I know it's an apple.
Right.
I can look at,
right.
a piece, I can look at a freaking Brussels sprout and know it's a Brussels sprout.
And that's why
not like this mixed salad thing that I'm like, well, why is there bacon in there? And it's...
Well, and even then, it's probably not bacon.
That's what I'm saying. How is there bacon in this?
And that's why I go back to like the ingredients list of if it's a package, look on the package. Like, all you want to see is what the item is, type of thing. If I pick up a bag of chicken breasts, it should say chicken breasts on it. We were shopping for honey yesterday or 2 days ago.
We were getting groceries. We weren't just like shopping for honey. It sounded like we were on a honey run.
We were, yeah, we were just searching for honey all day long. And again, like, you pick up, well, this looks like honey, and then you turn it around and you look at the back, and there's 3 different ingredients on it. 4 different ingredients on multiple, and that's like, and they do it so trickily too, and it's so sneaky of like, this honey has, I don't know, whatever. They do the combination things.
Came from this honeycomb and this kind of bee. And...
Well, not even necessarily that. Like almost like doing the almond milk thing, like the flavored almond milk. Where it's like, well, what is flavoring this? It's like lavender and blueberry, or it's, Fiji apple and honey almond milk. And you look on the back and it's like, they just added syrup to this.
Yeah.
But they do this trick thing of like, oh, it got apple in it, and it's got this in it, and it's, turmeric or apple cider this. And it's like, well, that's a donut. Apple cider donuts.
Right.
But people see apple cider and they all freak out.
Yeah. And I think it's just more about, it's not that don't eat those things. It's not, I'm having the milk. But it's just having the awareness and not tricking yourself and not lying to yourself of what's actually happening. I feel like a lot of people would go, I'm having almond milk with tea. That's so healthy.
And that's my point. That's the problem.
Okay, but there's definitely sweetener in it, because almonds don't taste like blueberry. Almonds don't taste like lavender. Also, you think you ate if you took a lavender clove or a leaf or a flower off a tree and you think it's going to taste like something, probably not. So
Well,
it's probably
it's
this
not,
weird
it's not blueberry
combination of
juice.
flavors. No.
Yeah.
That it's like that, or like, yeah, like the granola bar. It's like, well, it's the healthy granola bars. It's the healthy cereal. It's like that. It's like I don't know. It's just, don't trick yourself into thinking you're eating healthy, because then when you're, or like, yeah, like, well, we eat chicken and rice, but then we have this sauce over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I feel like this is where I start to get irritated with people, but also feel for them, because that is where, like, when you are thinking that is eating healthy, and then when you listen to a podcast and go, well, eat healthy and then lift weights and you'll be where you want to be, and they're like, I'm doing both of those things and nothing is happening. I think being truly honest with yourself and breaking down what that means and what healthy means to you, because like some of these things that we were talking about, this could be where there's a lot of gray area that you're not looking at, and what could be the issue.
Yeah. And that's, I think that is just like what you said of, you hear on podcasts or you hear everywhere of like, you need to eat healthy and lift weights to get to where you want to be. And then people research into it further and they find, okay, maybe you even Google, how do I eat healthy? And I bet the first things that pop up is like, you should lower your carbohydrates and you should eat this and do this.
Stop
and
eating processed foods
and there's no, it's like all of those things are great, but there's no real guidance with that, because now that person continues to research further and they go, okay, eat healthy. Well, all right. They go to the grocery store and it's like, well, I'll just get all this organic stuff. And then they start getting all the organic stuff and they go down that, or there's so many different ways you can go with it that it's not the actual thing. Like, they're all just these masks. It's like, eat healthy, and it's like, okay, keto. And then people start eating keto, but it turns out like
you're eating the most processed stuff that you possibly could, because you got to find all these keto bars and shakes.
Yeah. And exactly. They're the most processed things, and you still can't get to where you want to be. It's like, you just feel lost then.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's where I go to like, look at the ingredients list,
Simple is where you want to be.
Yes. You want the least amount of ingredients, or you pick it up and you go, I know what this is. This is an apple. Mm-hmm. And I know there's nothing else in this or on this besides an apple. And that's what I'm going to eat. And it's the, if it comes from the ground type of thing. And like, I think that we know what's healthy. It's it's a little bit this laziness of thought of like, well, they said these granola bars are healthy, so I'll do that. And it's like, well, that's just because it fits into what you already kind of want to do. You already kind of want this little bit of an easy way out, and this is it for you. So you're going to take that. Don't like eat this, like prepare your meals. Like, you have to grab an apple and eat it and do that. You have to make dinner, make breakfast. Like, you got to do the work in order to get to where you want to be. It's something your dad says all the time, like, shop around the outside of the grocery store.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
That's where most of the good stuff is. When you start going down those aisles, that's where most of the processed stuff is.
Well, and where you go back to the simple, like the outside of the grocery store, you can look at it and know what it is most of the time. You can look at a thing of meat and know that's chicken.
Yeah.
Or, like, not like, well, what is this, like, Cajun styled whatever thing in this package? It's like, no, I can just see that it's the ugly looking chicken. And same thing, you go to the produce side, you can see what all the fruits and vegetables are. Mm-hmm. That, even the dairy and all that kind of stuff. Cheese is cheese. Well, it's not
though.
It's not. I don't know why I said that. Stop eating shredded cheese, by the way. It's plastic. Just want to throw that out there. But yeah, like it really shouldn't. I think that's why it makes me sad for people, is because it really shouldn't be this hard. You shouldn't have to find like, read all the packages and have to go and find like all these, intricate, healthy new foods. it's just take out the question marks and just eat whole foods. Like you said, like, yeah, you're going to have to cut up the vegetables and then stir fry them. You can't just buy the already stir fried and seasoned things. And like, I think, yeah, that's what you're going to what?
I feel like I thought of something so funny.
Say it.
Like, if you have to try to sell me on this food, I'll walk away from it. If you have to try to sell me on your packaging and sell me on this or that, or whatever, it's like what you said. You go up and you go, there's the chicken breast. This looks like shit.
Yep.
You know, is anybody trying to sell you in the grocery store to eat their apples section? Or you go up and you see a bundle of lettuce? Nobody's got to sell you on that stuff. It's the stuff that you already know. It's super boring looking. It's super doesn't look like it'd be good to eat. It's all of those things. It's the stuff that's really prettily packaged, and it's got all these
fun words on it.
It's got the fun words, and oh my God, actual size. Look how big or small it is, and
it says the calories on the front of the box.
Yep, and it's got the protein and all that type of stuff. It's like, if they have to sell you on what to eat, you probably shouldn't be eating it, because there's nobody standing on the side of the road or in the grocery store trying to sell you a bundle of lettuce.
Yeah.
Nobody's shaking the lettuce at you like, you got to try this.
And that's what I love about with what we have created, especially you and I, of making everything, because I grew up eating out of every fast food place because I was dancing and whatever. That now that we actually make food and take the time to make food, it's surprising how much money I think people waste also on buying the like packaged thing, buying the cool thing. When it's like, oh, you can make this. Like the most expensive granola bars that we used to get were like Lara bars. And then you look at the ingredients and they spell it out for you. It's like, oh, we can just buy the ingredients and make them.
Yeah.
Or like, okay, it's triple the price to get protein pancakes. Okay, well, or you could just make pancakes and put protein powder.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like we spend a lot just because it's the easy, which I get. I understand that's 90% of the population is you're coming home from work and that's the last thing you want to do is freaking cook food and take the time to do that for a meal that you're not even that really excited about. That I think that's what's helpful is finding ways to make this just a lifestyle so then you don't have to think about it as a either or. It's just, no, I have to make my food. It's not make my food, run through a fast food place or warm something up. Find ways that work in your lifestyle to make it normal and to make it easy-ish for you. And then again, like find new foods to make. Find new fruits and vegetables and meats to try that you're excited to make it too.
Yeah. There's, I get the busyness. We're all busy and it's hard to make food. It's hard to want to do that. Some people just hate cooking. Some people it takes too much time and they'd rather have it be easier. But here is kind of this is the battle. It's like, okay, well then it's the sacrifice you have to make if you want to reach the fitness or health goals that you're looking for. Is you're going to do better and get there. You're going to get there quicker, or you're actually going to get there if you do these, if you make the quote sacrifice to cook your meals and make everything. If you don't, then you kind of have to sit and you kind of have to live with like, I'm not going to get to where I want to be potentially then. It doesn't, you can't get to where you want to be eating the healthiest granola bar and doing just, if it says organic on the package, it's good. Well, the problem is it's in a package. It's not open and you can grab the apple and toss it behind your back and throw it around. Like you have to open this package and dig out all this stuff, which is just, it's preservatives that you're digging out. And because of that, that's what's not going to let you get to your goal. It's not whether you eat keto or not, and I think that's my beef with it is I don't know who's the people, but the people want to tell you to eat keto and or do no fat or stay away from this, do this, do this. But it's not really that. Nobody got overweight or unhealthy eating an apple. But you can with these granola bars that say organic on them if you're just eating those. So there's just, I don't know. I don't like there's got to be honesty. This is my honesty session.
And especially just, I think it's more just being honest with yourself. Like you said, if you have to sell you on, why it's good, sit with yourself with that. Of, do I need to make reasons for why this makes sense? Then you're probably just making it up. And, it's like the whole well, it's cane sugar, not real sugar, so it's better. That really only comes into play, I feel like, if you are really dialed in and you are really like I'm fine drinking the flavored milk, almond milk, because I can look at my diet for the week, the month, consistently and know nothing else like this is coming into play. Maybe I have honey, for sugar and whatever, but otherwise it's just whole foods. We don't have anything that's packaged, or we don't have a lot of the, the things that we've been talking about this whole episode. It is just a lot of whole foods that I feel fine having this. I feel fine every once in a while. And when that once in a while is actually, this is the one thing right now, not this. And then I'm going to have something else tomorrow. That's every once in a while.
Yeah.
But most people, that's not it. Or you're, it's like.
Yeah. It's usually, it's not like, oh, you're choosing, the reason you're unhealthy is because you're choosing not the cane sugar. It's like, it's not that simple. It's not that one thing.
Yeah.
It's shop around the outside of the grocery store, eat whole foods, eat things that you know what it is, you know what's in it, you know what's on it. It's not processed, it comes from the earth, that sort of thing. When you start to go to the inside of the grocery store, or you start to, kind of take the shortcuts of, well, here's a granola bar, but it says it's organic, and, it's the more processed thing. It's got more ingredients in it that you don't know. Those are the things that, you start to, when you start to look at the labels of everything and you start to really dive into what things you do eat, you can start to realize how many things are actually probably not that great for you and holding you back a little bit, because there's plenty of people that go to the gym 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and they're putting in the work and they're doing everything great. But then they come home, and to me, I think the biggest issue of it is they don't have the information, or they don't know with the diet. That's my opinion about that. Mm-hmm. But they go home and they eat things and they think it's healthy. They believe it's healthy. And in reality, it's not. There's way better options. And these things are actually holding you back from your health and fitness goals. And it doesn't matter how many days a week you go to the gym. It's just wanting to tell and show people kind of like what I said. If you have to market this to me, it's probably something I shouldn't be eating. It's a reason why, look at your commercials, like Taco Bell and commercials for Doritos and whatever. Have you seen a commercial for lettuce? Have you seen a commercial for apples? No. That's most of the time what's happening is somebody's trying to sell you something and tell you that it's healthy. I'm telling you it's healthy. Look at the calorie count. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. To where it's nobody cares about the calorie count or the anything when you eat lettuce or apples. Nobody's going, oh, look at that salad. I bet that's this many calories. It's nobody cares. It's a salad. I think we're starting to go into the well, an apple's got 25 grams of sugar. That's so much sugar. And it's yeah, but when you're eating a healthy, balanced diet, it's really not. Also, these are natural sugars. These are good for your body, and you need these. It's you compare this to the, organic cookie that's only got 6 grams of sugar in it, are we really going to debate what's healthier? Like, there's no question. There's no question. And I think that's the thing that we kind of need to get back to, of like, stop complicating it.
Simple, simple, simple.
Simple, simple. And don't eat for numbers. I'm going to continue to say that on here. Don't eat for the numbers. I don't care how many calories it has. I don't care how many grams of carbs, sugars, fats, any of that. Don't eat for the numbers. It makes everything confusing. It makes you think that you're doing the right things, when in reality, you're not. You're eating for numbers, and that's why the granola bars are always going to be the best numbers. Don't go for that. Go for, is this a whole food? Is it on the outside of the grocery store? Is it something that I know of? Can I tell you exactly what's on it? All it's on it is this barcode sticker, and I'll peel that right off this apple, you know? Do those things. That's what's going to get you healthy and where you want to be.
Good.
Rock on.
Yeah, that was good.
You think that's it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Like and subscribe to the podcast.
Please.
Podcast, the YouTube channel. We've got more than just a podcast. We've got a recipe video.
Yeah, I would say, speaking of
training with
food, we're
me.
going to keep posting more recipe videos, and they might not all be, I might do some fun, not super healthy ones in there every once in a while, but it's going to be a lot of just what we eat. I want that whole playlist to be just like an inside to what we eat on a regular basis and how to make it. And I think more so just giving you different recipe ideas that you might not normally be thinking of or doing or try.
Yeah, just an idea and something that, hopefully is simple enough and also has enough flavor too, that is, you can take into your diet or what you make for food and whatever.
Yeah.
I want to do that almond milk. We got the almond milk and just kind of saw how difficult it was to just shop for it, that we wanted to try to make our own. So maybe that's one that we'll video and put out there, of like how to make your own almond milk type of thing.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, like and follow our Facebook page, The Hub Fitness, our Instagram at @thehub_fitness, our email, thehubfitcrew@gmail.com.
Nope. The hub dot fit crew.
Yeah, I thought that's what I said.
You said thehubfitcrew.gmail.com.
thehub.fitcrew@gmail.com. And
comment below.
Yeah.
Anything. Comment anything below. It helps us, but also it, we want to be able to engage with you guys and communicate, and more topics for what you want us to talk about. We want this to be kind of a podcast for you, not just what we think is important. We want it to be kind of a two-way street of help. This is like, we want this whole thing to be helpful for people. Just like personal training is just like our whole career has been based off of us helping the individual and helping everyday people. Everyday people, like we're not everyday people.
Yeah.
But helping people, kind of work on these problems that you might be having, that if you can let us know what your problems are, better for us to help you.
Yeah. It's a reason why we're doing this, and why we even just had this whole podcast about diet, is we feel like that there's stuff out there that's just not true and not helpful. And we want to create that dialogue and that interaction with people of like, hey, maybe I heard this thing and it just seems weird, or it's not working for me. Is there something else that could? And we can kind of give our 2 cents and what we know into that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. See you later.